Brent Brooks from the Toronto Fire Service in Canada. Brent is a captain with Toronto Fire Service and is currently assigned to Toronto's high-rise unit. He has a 28-year firefighting career and started at the Pearson International Airport with continuing duties at the de Havilland and Bombardier Aerospace Crash Fire Rescue Teams. He is a proud retired member of the Canadian Armed Forces. Captain Brooks' high-rise unit assignment has led to the advancement of Toronto's high-rise operations through innovations in tactical research and development, their incident management systems and operational training. Please welcome Captain Brent.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks very much. So that's my bio right there. Well done. The only thing I'm going to add to that is I am a firefighter. I am a boots on the ground firefighter, so I'm actively going into high-rise fires every time I go into work. But what I did a little bit differently when I started researching high-rise firefighting was I joined the Council of Tall Buildings. When I joined the Council of Tall Buildings, we actually have to wear a suit when we go there, and I like wearing firefighting gear. And why I joined the Council of Tall Buildings, because I wanted to ask the designers, the architects, and the engineers, how do you think we should fight fires in your buildings? Or how should we go about clearing smoke in your buildings? And I can tell you, there's a big disconnect between what's being designed and us as firefighters, and I'm trying to make that disconnect. So stay tuned. I'm also part of a T90 group, which is based out of London, England, and we share with other departments all the stuff that we do, and we don't charge for it. I'm a humble researcher. I do travel the world. I do not charge. And the idea of that is, as a researcher, I need to get feedback. When I get feedback, I know either what I'm doing is accurate or correct, or it might take me down a certain path. That's what research does. And we can come up with tomorrow's best known practices simply by getting out, boots on the ground, asking questions of our firefighters, and then asking questions of the architects, builders, and designers. That's my truck there. It's high-rise unit 332. It was running around 5,800 calls a year, so around 16 fires a day. We added a second high-rise unit, so now we run 8,000 calls. We run 2,800 calls a year, and we're probably going to add 2 more high-rise units. We don't run medical calls. We don't run alarm calls. Those are fire calls. As far as what the City of Toronto is, and it's important, I want you to look at that. We have over 10 million trees, but what does that have to do with high-rise firefighting? Well, you're about to find out. The CN Tower is one of the largest freestanding structure in the Western Hemisphere. Do you know who beat us out? Dubai. Right? Thank you. Yonge Street's still one of the largest streets in the world. We have North America's only castle. We have the largest network-based library system in the world. Toronto Islands are the largest urban car-free community. Caravana is North America's largest street festival. We have one of the largest zoos in the world, and we do have the largest underground shopping complex in the world, thanks to our Canadian winners. As far as our fire department goes, we have 85 stations, 3,000 members, 3,000 high-rise, 1,000 plus skyscrapers, and we have 6,000 low-rise buildings. So we are a big city, and that's why we have dedicated high-rise unit. That's my crew there, and I can tell you that firefighters come in all different shapes and sizes and physical abilities, and in my case, it's age. Toronto is one of the only few cities in the world without a recognized culture. So that's my crew there. We're all different. Our pride of our fleet right now is a 70-meter, 230-foot Bronto truck. But it is the same and similar to the one that you see outside there, but what we've done is we've added the ability to do improvised standpipe. So we can get water to 35 stories and up. If you get to a point in your career, and regardless of what your career is, and you think you know it all, it's time for a reality check. You will never know everything you need to know about your topic. So continue to learn, continue to research. So in 2010, I had that reality check. It was this fire here that changed my career and got me into researching. It was my crew that got into trouble. It was my crew that had the Mayday. We almost lost 2 firefighters' lives that had to be rescued by the RIT team. The other 5 firefighters, they were burnt very, very badly. and this fire went for 8 hours. This was contained to a room and contents. How can that burn for 8 hours? Stay tuned. When I started to do the research about the fire that I was at, I listened to the audio, and I wrote down verbatim all the audio from this particular fire. And I can tell you, it was absolutely textbook. There was nothing we did wrong. We followed the policies and procedures, and it wasn't even out of order, which sometimes happens at high-rise fires. At the end of this high-rise fire, we were told we simply went to a high-rise fire that was wind impacted with a flow path. That is the reality between high-rise firefighting, and we accepted that. When I dug a little deeper, and when I first got on the job, this fire here, we had 6 occupants die in the stairwell. Now, this fire didn't last for 8 hours, but at the end of this fire, and after the investigation, they said this is high-rise firefighting. If it's wind impacted with a flow path, it is going to be difficult. But I still wasn't okay with that. And I want everyone to know that it's okay to make an error as human, to worry about that errors are compassion, and to do something about those errors is professionalism, and that's where I like to be, is professional. If you Google the Toronto Star, there's an article on how Toronto changed the high-rise program. It's interactive, it'll have maps, it'll have videos. I describe flow path, I have props on there, so help yourself. It's on the internet, called Fire in the Sky, and it'll help add to my presentation. I'm going to start with a few fires that we had here in Toronto, Canada, and we're going to go from a 6-alarm plus fire, and we're going to start whittling down. Stats and statistics and analytics is what we need to do. Like the speaker prior to me, it makes sense because we can prove stuff that happened. Just these 2 fire here alone, we lost 12 occupants in the common areas of these buildings. What about this here? What do you think that is there? Well, this is 650 Parliament Street. It's the second fire we had there in just 11 months. It was a year and 3 months before occupants were allowed back in this building. That building burned its inner workings from the top right to the top, and there's nothing we could have done about it. And we started getting every single 100-pound CO2 extinguisher citywide, and we brought it to the fire. We can learn from this type of stuff. This fire here, we were first in on this, and when I researched this, it proved to us that big water matters. Our flow rates matter. What we're putting on the fire truly matters, and we made really, really quick work of this fire, composite decking and stuff. This fire in 2018 on Thorncliffe Park, a captain mayday, came off air. His death was imminent, but what we learned from our previous past fires is that we needed to start staging resources inside the building in the event another emergency happens, and that's exactly what happened. It was a firefighter mayday, the firefighter went down, our RIT team was right there, and we were able to rescue this captain's life because we were proactive, not reactive. This fire here, we're back to 200 Wellesley Street. This is the 2010 fire where we got in trouble, 6-alarm plus. We're back again in 2019, a 4-alarm. What we learned, this exact same building, it's not 8 hours, but we learned about positive pressure isolation. So we were able to keep the smoke contained to the fire floor. We also learned door control. And that is a big thing when you look at high-rise buildings with the compartmentalization. Door control is key, and positive pressure isolation is key. And even though our thermal alarms were going off in the hallway because of high heat, we were able to extinguish it. So we're getting better. 6 alarms down to 4 alarms. We're going to go pop up to another 5th alarm fire here. This was 9 stories worth of fire. It started to auto-expose up the building. It got 9 units going. By the time we got there on the high-rise unit, it was the first time that we used the floor below nozzle. You can see it flowing here. Within 30 seconds, we were flowing over 900 liters per minute. We were to put out 3 stories worth of fire. We shut down, we leapfrogged up the building, allowed crews to come inside, and we ended up getting this out. But we're learning, and that's what's important as long as we learn. This fire here is another firefighter mayday just in 2020, and after reviewing this fire, we learned the importance of a smooth bore. We learned the importance of exterior tack. We learned that some myths about disrupting the thermal balance were theories, and they were disproven. So we're starting to get better now. This fire here, if the video plays, yes it does, this is a high-rise building under construction. We had the 15th and 16th floor alight. Fallen debris caught the podium base on the bottom. There's a third fire we can't see just off to the one side. We got up to the 15th floor, the fire floor. We hooked up to the standpipe system, no water. What department is capable of doing a 15-story stretch with their hose line? Well, we are in the City of Toronto. We actually do 30 stories. Within 12 minutes, we had water on this fire because we learned from our errors, like I talked about earlier. When I travel the world and I go to the boots on the ground firefighters and I ask them questions and I get them to describe our stories, and we just shared a story, you and I, about what happened to you, I need that information as a researcher. I need that feedback. But this is what firefighters say, and firefighters are aggressive. I was at that fire, and I can tell you, every firefighter there was aggressive. The fire just didn't want to go out. Start asking the question, why? Why couldn't I put that fire out? And that's exactly what I did. I was in Chicago this past May. I was researching through the Council of Tall Buildings. I wanted to find out how these buildings are built, and I wanted to be proactive and be able to put these future high-rise buildings out. The future is timber frame construction. That is a reality. We have timber frame high-rise buildings already in our city, but I'm happy to say that we are prepared because we have the reach of stream, the volume of water needed, multiple tactics. But if you notice, I've highlighted ergonomics. Remember I said that earlier slide of my crew? Firefighters come in all different shapes, sizes, physical capabilities, and in my case, it's age. We needed to add ergonomics into our firefighting. I was also in London, England in May at the Tall Building Fire Safety Conference. We learned about metal cladding. This is also the future. When I talked about those 10 million trees, Toronto has 10 million trees. When I spoke to New York City, someone Googled it to see if New York City had more trees than Toronto, and they had 5 million trees. So Toronto has 10 million, New York City has 5 million, and I bet you, if you Google how many trees you have, I don't know how many trees you have, by the way, but you want to beat us. So the reason why we do this type of stuff is because cities are competing for the world's best minds and talented people. You get the world's best minds and talented people, you get the companies to come along with it, and if you look at Dubai is not a boring place to be. Someone like me that likes to research high-rise buildings, this is where I want to be. Looking at these buildings, studying these buildings, it's unique. It's not a boring city. It's got lots of color and lots of excitement. That's what attracts people. So I bet you when I go back to New York City, they'll have 20 million trees because we are in competition, believe it or not. This is a high-rise building in my first run area. It looks like 4 different towers. It's not. It's one large building. We have commercial, we have residential, we have mixed use, and we have assembly at the very end. But it's all one building. Let's look at this building at nighttime. If we look here, the floor plate sizes change, the ceiling sites change, our podium is broken up. You have a great chance as a firefighter coming up short. If you come up short on your hose stretch, it is very uncomfortable. You're short. How do you advance forward? You go back to the standpipe outlet, you shut your water supply down, you go defensive, you add the line, and then you get all your firefighters on the line. You move 250 feet to 350 feet of hose. It's not an easy task to do. Even the most disciplined fire departments can't do it. We have a solution now in Toronto. When we did the research, the science and the investigation into this, Paul Grimwood, I spoke with him a few years back in London, England, but from his book, he takes the primary flow gradient, and there are 6 different type of sizes fire there. We know what fire does. We know the megawatts that a fire puts out. We also know how many liters per minute that we need to put on that fire to put it out. That's science, it's math, it's correct. But we went a step further. We took all our hose and nozzle packages, and we wanted to try and get the best heat absorption for the water we were putting on the fire, and we wanted this 41,000 absorption in 1 second. The problem with that is we add 100 pounds of nozzle reaction to the nozzle. Remember I said firefighters come in all different shapes and sizes, physical abilities. In my case, it's age. I might see it a few more times as well. So we needed to get rid of nozzle reaction. Well, how do you get rid of nozzle reaction? So this is our recruits. We have 5 firefighters on the line. Hopefully this plays. Yes, it does. They had to shut down. They had to restart. There's us throwing 1,003 liters per minute. We changed our tactics from a flow and go line to a hit and move line because we have 1,003 liters per minute. We have a 100-foot reach of stream. We've taken nozzle reaction from 100 pounds to 0, and we did it with ergonomics. Like I said, I like to travel. This is Houston, Texas at a commercial high-rise conference. All like-minded people in my inner circle. We're here, we're testing, we're flowing. We have a Christmas tree full of valves. We have PRVs, we have PRDs. We did high pressure pumping. We flowed water off that building in the background from 52 stories. I mean, this is a firefighter's dream, right? This is what we want to do, boots on the ground type stuff. And that's what the reach of stream looks like under proper operating pressure on the 52nd floor. And this is important. Science has caught up to the fire service. I love this. This is a thing I do in the United States. But I know in 6 seconds, I can fill a 55-gallon drum. We're going in with a 1 1/8 tip. Every 13 seconds, I can fill that drum up with water. This is a big deal. We're using big water with doing less water damage because we're putting out the fires way, way quicker. And we have the stats to kind of back that up, but we also have to do our own testing. This is a burn tower that we have within our city. We light it up, we wait for it to flash over, we flow the full potential of the nozzle, and within 6 seconds, we have this fire knocked down. Remember, fire's producing the smoke in these high-rise buildings that are killing people. I took Paul Grimwood's primary flow and gradient and I added the hose and nozzle package that we used to have. We were only flowing 500 liters per minute on our fires. That is 1 room and contents, that's it. So we were struggling because the fires got beyond the 1 room and contents. Well, no wonder why we couldn't put them out. Now we added a wind impacted fire, or we had a wind impacted fire with flow path. We were struggling. We're not struggling now because with our new hose and nozzle package, we're flowing 1,003 liters per minute. And here's the kicker. If I want to double my output, I simply replace what's on the tip, and now I'm flowing 2,000 liters per minute. I got to increase the pressure a little bit to do that. So our high-rise tactics now, fed by the exact same line. I'm not bringing up new equipment. I'm simply replacing what's on the tip. So I can use the Bresnan, the bent pipe, the portable ground monitor, the opposing tip. We can do exterior attack now, all because we're using the same hose and nozzle package. When I looked at our tactics, and you might be surprised to hear this, you may not, but I went to our city planning department. Remember, you gotta sometimes go outside the fire department. So I go to the city planning department, who knows nothing about firefighting, and I said, give me the history of the city of Toronto. So I got this from them. And if you were to build a building in the city of Toronto in 1960s, 1970s, you would pick any one of these 5 buildings, go ahead and build it. I'm happy all these buildings have 2 stairwells, by the way. So we would go and build these buildings, but our tactics for firefighting was based around 1960, 1970 tactics, and they haven't changed much. These are today's buildings. A lot of fire departments have a residential hose and nozzle package, a commercial hose and nozzle package. Some marry them together, but even if you did that, what about the assembly in the institutional buildings? We have 98 consulates in the city of Toronto, so that's other countries elevated within our city. This is a lot more complicated than these 1960, 1970 buildings. So I made a high-rise thesaurus. We have wide rises, vertical village, horizontal high-rise buildings on its side, ground scraper, standpipe equipped buildings, ply-rise and toothpick towers, right? Because we have timber frame constructed high-rise in our city. When we took the 12 problems in high-rise firefighting, if you solve all these 12 problems, you will be successful in a high-rise fire. We came up with a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, but we also got the firefighting equipment to back up these plans. And another thing we added, which very few fire departments are doing, we added the troubleshooting part of this, and I'll explain here in a second. Like we said, I used to work at Pearson Crash Fire Rescue. We would send the exact same response to a 747 that has 660 passengers, the exact same response to a Cessna 152 that holds 2 passengers. We did it for the muscle memory, and we did it to get good at what we do. We started timing every single thing that we do in Toronto. And you might be amazed, but we know how long it takes us to get to the building address, but we didn't know how long it took to get to the true fire or alarm location. It takes us longer to get from the parking brake on up to the fire floor. On average, is 6 minutes and 20 seconds. There is a NFPA standard of 2 minutes to get out of the fire station. Is another 4 minutes to get to the call, so that takes us 6 minutes to get to the building address. That's our old high-rise unit there, and then it takes us 6 minutes on top of that to get up to our alarm location. Once we get up to the alarm location, we have to enter the building, we have to go to the lobby, we have to go to the CACF room, we have to take control of the elevators, we have to go to our investigation. This is taking 12 minutes after we arrive to get water on the fire. Now we have that benchmark of 12 minutes. What can we be doing in 12 minutes? We need to start setting the stage for our vertical response. I need to figure out the ventilation profile of the building. I need to wet test the FDC. I need to begin staging equipment. And here's the difficult decision. Are we going to shelter in place? Are we going to evacuate? Or are we going to defer this for some reason? We can predict and we can forecast what the 12 minutes is going to look like now in our city. It's predictable. High-rise fires are predictable now. Our plan A is we're going to use the building's fire pump. We'll all do that. Our plan B is we're going to use our fire truck pumping into the fire department connection. Our plan C is if plan A and B fails, we're going to run a line into the ground floor standpipe if it'll accept it. And if plan A, B, and C fail, we have 8 different tactical options for the crew that went up that took 12 minutes, and we can do that right off the hop. Those are our 8 different options for improvised standpipe. That's no added equipment that has to go aloft. Have we done it in our city? Absolutely. We have 6 lines up this one particular high-rise fighting another building. Once we protected this building, we were able to go for extinguishment. We also started staging equipment. Remember, we're being proactive, not reactive, because we know it takes us 6 minutes plus to get up to the fire call. If you're in trouble and you need to call for help, it's 6 minutes. So let's eliminate that 6 minutes and start staging equipment. We have an exterior staging, a lobby staging, and a forward staging, and specific equipment that goes in those 3 stages. This just happened. The fire the other day was an old age home. This is a full deployment of one of our high-rise trucks, patient evacuation equipment, battery-powered fans, electric fans, gas-powered fans, smoke blockade curtains, the list goes on and on. That's inside the building, staged and ready to rock and roll. I talked about troubleshooting. If you have a plan A, plan B, and plan C, you got to add the troubleshooting. And sure enough, at this particular fire, we lost the electrical throughout the building. All we did was unplug, plug into our battery packs. It gave us an extra 20 minutes. When our 30-inch fan went down, no big deal. We had 2 fans right next to them. Redundancy. That's what the staging floor looks like. Did I tell you? I may not have told you, but firefighters come in all different shapes and sizes and physical abilities. In my case, it's age. So we have carts that bring all this equipment up. That's our hose and nozzle package. The one length of hose weighs 20 pounds. The standpipe kit itself weighs 22, and then we bring a set of irons. That's it on our first 2 firefighting crews. That's what it looks like there. One length of hose gets us 5 stories. We're bringing 6 firefighters going up top. We can do an improvised standpipe up to 30 stories with exactly what you see here. And here's the thing, we can only pump water to 30 stories. So it actually works out quite well for us. We are going to lose 1 firefighter to elevator control, unfortunately. So this is what it's going to look like on the fire floor. We've got 2 firefighters. That's your original attack team. We have 3 firefighters backing it up. The 3rd in truck comes up. They're part 2, but that's a story for another day. We only have a short amount of time to talk about high-rise. But there are medical, our initial IRITs, and smoke control. So if they find a victim, they don't have to take that victim 6 minutes and 20 seconds downstairs. They can start working on that victim from 1 floor below. If a firefighter goes down, same thing. We can work on them right away. As far as an improvised standpipe, that's what it looks like. I know improvised standpipe, a lot of fire departments will bring up hose rollers, they'll bring up leather straps to try and protect the hose. But if you put a girth hitch on the coupling and throw the coupling out the window or over a railing or off a balcony, it turns into a question mark. Once it gets filled with water, it's kink-free. And we do this on a regular basis. On the left is a video of us calling for water on a training. As soon as we get that coupling over, we call for water, we make it happen. The video on the right is a drill that I do every single Saturday and Sunday with my crew. We do it with 3 lengths. The firefighters in the room will say, holy smoke. They did a well hole stretch, they did a closed well stretch, They have a gate and gauge because I simulate no water in the system. That's pretty impressive, but we did it with 3 lengths of hose. That's it. That's 15 stories of improvised standpipe off one crew. I came up with a draft. I know we can pump water to 30 stories, but depending on the type of improvised standpipe that we do, if I get into a closed well, I go to the 11th story. I can only get water to the 11th story. If I switch to 100 mil hose, I can get right back to 30. So we're trying to make this pump chart and share it. As far as our reach of stream, I took all the different smooth bore appliances and found out how high we can shoot water. We're getting to the 35th floor for exterior attack. Add wind to this, it cuts the whole thing in half, but after 35 stories, we have tactics for exterior. Again, that's our playbook in Toronto. It's actually quite simple. So right in this picture here, we're using the standpipe system for exterior cladding fires, for hidden voids, for wind-impacted fires. There's a couple Breslin distributors, there's a bent tip, there's a cockloft nozzle, and we're capable of doing that. This is a class that I teach at 8, oops, shoot, I can go back. This is no I can't. Pardon me. So this is a class I teach. We're working above the fire, we're working for exterior cladding. This is what it looks like inside the fire unit. Have we done it? Absolutely. So at this fire, remember I said we can predict what's going to happen in the next 12 minutes? So at this fire, the Patucci say, Brooksy, what do we got? I said, this fire is going to be to the roof in 12 minutes. We need to get to the roof and deploy the Breslin distributor. That's exactly what we did, and it worked. We're ready for the effects of wind. We're ready for door control. We can drop the Breslin distributor from 2 floors above. We have our smoke blockade curtains. We are getting better and better and better, but it takes research. We can do immediate tactics change right now. I can spin off my tip. I can add an increaser. I'm not asking our firefighters to move 250 feet to 350 feet of hose, only 50 feet at a time. It's called leapfrogging. And every single one of our firefighters, shape, sizes, I think I told you, we can move 50 feet of hose, no problem. For a catastrophic failure where all these plans will not work, we'll go downrange with 4 fire suppression tools and a portable calf system. I took the square footage from the 3 big North American cities. We did our science, commercial, residential, how much square feet you can put out, and we backed that up with a calf system. Sorry, I'm rushing. High-rise unit 1, that's what we're going to do. High-rise unit 2 is going to back us up. That's what it's going to look like on the fire floor. We can't lift 300 pounds, right? Different shapes, sizes, and physical abilities. So we have a battery-powered stair climber that's going to bring that calf system up for us. Worst case scenario is we know there's still water left in that standpipe riser. We can go 4 stories below because that's a 4-inch riser, and we can fill our systems up again and do a 3rd and 4th wave. We can do it for more than just high-rise, those portable calf systems. This is a building in my first run area, and looking at this building, and I test my crew. If I had a fire there, what am I doing? And they'll tell us which one of our 8 tactics that we can do at this particular building. I love buildings. You certainly have them here in Dubai. I made a little cheat sheet called tactical options. If I have a clear hallway, if I have a dirty hallway, if I've come up short, if I'm unable to reach the fire department, the list goes on. And then I also have one for the water supply issues. If you can't get water, if you need to do a well hole stretch, we did all this type of fun stuff. We're really putting the science into high-rise firefighting, but it takes your feedback to help me, and that's why I donate my time. That's me there, Brent Brooks, just highrisefirefighting.com. I'm simply a humble researcher. There's my email address. Please feel free to email me any questions. If I don't get back to you within 2 weeks, just send me another one because I'm a busy guy. I'm passionate about what I do because I'm a boots on the ground firefighter, and I don't want what happened to me to happen to the likes of other firefighters. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Absolutely superb. Thank you very much for a great presentation, and in the spirit of the conference, an expert sharing his personal knowledge is what it's all about. So thanks again.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break and resume in about 10 minutes for our next presentation. Thank you.